like it doesn't get much more like chill and relaxed than this, and this is exactly the vibe I like to film these videos in. It's meant to feel like we're just chilling together. It's meant to be relaxing, low-key therapeutic, like, I don't know, like we're here together, kind of like girly sleepover vibes. I haven't done one of these videos in a hot minute, and not only do you guys love them, I love them, and I low-key feel like they're necessary. I don't know, these kind of topics and just having someone to talk to and get advice on this kind of stuff is so important. It's a subject that I think is such a broad spectrum. I feel like I haven't even looked at the questions. I know we're just gonna cover all arrays of just like girl talk, relationships, sex, you know, all of that kind of stuff that, I don't know, I feel like we low-key love to talk about with our friends, but not everyone has someone to talk to about that kind of stuff, and I love being that person for you guys. So I always try and make sure I get at least one of these videos up every couple of months or so, because you guys low-key help me too. Like sometimes you guys send questions and I give you advice, and then when I'm editing these videos back, I'm always like, Rachel, that low-key applies to your life and maybe you should take your own advice. And you always sound off in the comments and help each other out, which I just love. This is why these videos are just great, okay? And I love doing them. But before we jump into it, and I feel like I haven't, like I said, I haven't even like looked at the questions yet. So something along these lines might come up where this is relevant, but this part of the video, I am actually partnering with LELO. I have worked with them before. They are a sexual wellness brand, all about empowering women, all about embracing our own sexual pleasure. And just like these kind of videos, LELO strives to like educate and empower us. They really, I don't know, think about every little detail. They have a sex toy for everyone and anyone, whichever way you like to please yourself and pleasure yourself and experiment with yourself. They have a super high quality toy that is going to allow you to do that. And their newest one is possibly one of my favorites. This is the LELO IDA Wave. You can see it is a dual stimulation massager. It combines wave motion technology for the internal stimulation while providing gentle but precise vibrations for the clitoris. And it's basically meant to mimic the sensation of like fingers, you know, while this part stimulates your clitoris area. You know, when we talk about like the tongue finger combo when it comes to oral sex, like who needs a partner when you now have this? So my single ladies, including myself, this one is for us. And like pretty much all of their toys, they have numerous amounts of settings on this, because what works for one person might not necessarily work for the other. Some may like one constant vibration, some like a bit of a pulsation moment, variations of speed, and also, which I think is really fun. And like I said, if you're like into experimenting with your own sexual pleasure, this one is definitely gonna be the one for you. It has like a hands-free experience where there's actually an app that you can use to control this. So actually, maybe even fun with a partner, where you can have like 4 additional settings. You can have even more control over the toy and yeah, just have some fun with it. And I know LELO is a little bit more of a like luxurious sex toy brand, which is why I feel like you guys aren't gonna wanna miss out on this offer. They are having a huge Black Friday sale, discounts across lelo.com. I will leave it linked down below if you guys wanna check it out. Their newest one, like this, you can really just like explore and experiment with this like on your own, discovering your self pleasure, so then even when it does come to coming with a partner, you know exactly the motions and the vibes to really turn you on. So this Black Friday, why don't you treat yourself and make the most of the LELO discount and treat yourself to a new toy. This is definitely not the only one. They have so many to choose from, because like I said, everyone is different, and LELO really love to empower that and embrace that. So make sure you go and check them out. I'll leave the link down below. But the IDA Wave, I feel like, is a must, so make the most of the discount on this one. I feel like investing and treating yourself to like a good sex toy is so worth it, because it's very easy to just have in your head like just like what a vibrator should look like or anything like that, and just get the cheapest one, and it not really like, I don't know, allowing you to explore what you really enjoy. So yeah, the link is down below so you guys can have a browse and make the most of the Black Friday discount. But without further ado, I feel like now is the time. And whenever I put this question box up, I get the most responses, which just, yeah, reaffirms to me that these videos are just so important to just talk about. You guys always have so many questions wanting advice on. It's a super important and like necessary subject. So let's jump into it. Your girl talk, relationship, advice, vibes, questions. I'm here for this to feel like our bestie sleepover vibes. So you can tell me anything and I'm gonna do my best to help you. somebody said, thoughts on porn and partner watching it, please. I want opinions on this. I would love to hear your guys' opinions on this if you're watching and what you think to help this person out. I personally, again, I can only give sort of impartial advice because I've not been like in a relationship to really like allow it to play on my mind. But if I just like think about it, if you're just talking in like a healthy, normal sense, just, you know, from time to time your partner watches porn while he's in a relationship with you, she or he, I don't know, I think masturbating is like, I don't know, it's just like alone time. It's just, I don't really think too like deep into it in the sense of, I think it's important to still have like self-pleasure as well as pleasure like with a partner. So I personally don't see anything wrong with it unless it was like in an unhealthy sense, as if they were like obsessed with it and they watched it all of the time, then that's actually quite concerning. And two, I think it also might depend on like what porn they were watching. For example, if they were like masturbating to something that was just so polar opposite to like me, then I would be like, okay, like which is it that turns you on? Maybe it's both, I don't know, but I don't know. It's a sticky one because I feel like for a lot of guys, it's probably not that deep and just they get randomly horny like in the middle of the day and like, you know, porn is just so quick and accessible to just, sometimes even I find like if I'm watching it, sometimes I just use it to like get me going a little bit, but then I might think about something else. So I don't know, I think it's really dependable on just like how much they're watching it and what they're watching. Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But again, this is coming from someone that's like not in a relationship and hasn't been in one to really like have that come up and give like actual been there, done that advice. So if you guys watching this want to help that girl out and like share your thoughts on it, then leave her some advice in the comments. Somebody said, when do I know it's time to leave my relationship? I don't want to look back and regret it. Well, I think you've answered your own question because you're thinking about it. I don't think you should be going into a relationship thinking like, oh, I plan to leave this. So like I said, I think you kind of answered your own question. If you're already thinking like, okay, I want to leave this, and actually maybe you're just thinking like, I just want to make sure that that is correct. The fact that you're already having those kind of thoughts, I would say it's low-key hard to come back from. But it depends. I think you definitely need a conversation. Just to communicate, I think so many, like imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and your partner was thinking about leaving you and just like left without even a conversation or a chance to like, you know, discuss and like maybe you can work through it type thing. Like maybe it's something that is easily fixable and like they're just panicking and thinking that leaving is like the easiest option. Like a lot of people do that. They just panic in the moment and leave, and then they think about it and then they're like, actually wait, no, I've made the wrong decision. But they just thought in that moment that the best thing to do was leave. So if you haven't already, have a conversation and just be like, look, I'm just feeling a little bit question mark about things, and I'd so much rather just chat with you about them because, you know, I don't want to make any rash decisions, and like that's really like not what I want from this conversation. I just want to lay everything all out on the table, see what you think, because they might be thinking the same, you know, you never know. So just always I think just communicate and have a conversation and just be honest. Like I feel like so many people are just scared to be honest. But at the end of the day, when it comes to things like this, if you don't speak about it, I feel like it just eats you up, and then subconsciously you act out in like different ways, and it just ends so much more like unamicably than if you just had a conversation and just mutually discussed it, and it either goes one way or the other, but at least you laid it all out on the table and nothing was left unsaid. And, you know, from that conversation you might have been able to do the best that you can, but if it still doesn't work, like I said, at least you spoke about it. And yeah, I think that's the more just like mature way to handle it. But if you're already having those thoughts, I feel like it might be time. Somebody said, been with my boyfriend for 5 years, but he doesn't want to move in. He's at home. Is he scared of commitment? Well, first of all, how old are you? I think just saying that you've been together for 5 years, I kind of need to get like a little bit more like context from the situation, because you could be together for 5 years, but you know, you got together at 16 and so therefore you're now just like 21 and thinking like, okay, we've been together for 5 years, like maybe we should move in together, because 21 is still so young. You know, that's just hypothetical. You might not be, you might have got together at 20 and you're now 25. But even that's still quite young, and like not everyone can afford to live alone, you know, so maybe it's like more of a financial thing. I wouldn't jump to the conclusion about commitment, because even if that is what the problem is, I feel like a lot of people rush to move in and it just ruins everything. So he might just be thinking like, I don't want to ruin things with you, so I don't want to rush into anything if I'm even the most remote bit like unsure, whether it be because I can't afford it, or whether it be, you know, if he's being completely honest, he just likes his own space, and until like maybe you're planning to have like a family and stuff like that, like to move in right now is just like not what he wants to do. Or if he's just completely happy with the way that things are going, is moving in completely necessary? Yes, it might be the next step, but like, are you rushing to do that next step anytime soon? You'd be surprised, like even going on a holiday with someone can really just show you their real side. So like living with someone 24/7 is a massive step. So like I said, even if you're like the tiniest bit like unsure, it's so stressful, and so like moving house in general, even if you're just doing it on your own, it's so stressful. Yeah, I don't know, it might just be a case of you're in a great place and he just doesn't want to jeopardize what you guys have in case moving in just, don't you see what I'm saying? Like it's not just as black and white. It's like, oh my god, he doesn't want to move in, he doesn't want to be with me in the long term. Like, oh my god, there's just so many more elements to moving in than just like commitment to you. There's just so much. But so I wouldn't take it personally in terms of a commitment, but again, like have a conversation about it. If you're like, I want to move in because I feel completely comfortable with you and I feel like we could handle it together financially, I'm okay, like what are you thinking about this, what are your reasons? Like I've even asked him like what the reasons are, because I think that's obviously going to be the place to start. Somebody said, I can only talk / flirt with guys when tipsy or drunk, otherwise when I'm sober I don't know how to. This, I think I spoke about this on my podcast, in the sense of I'm all here for like a couple of glasses of wine, or like a glass of wine or a drink or something to like help you relax in certain situations. But if you're like dependent on it to be able to like have sex with someone or like talk to anyone, I think there's a little bit of like self-work that needs to be done in terms of like, I don't know how to. I feel like especially when it comes to talking, when you meet the right person, conversation will just come naturally, and a lot of people actually enjoy silence, you know, putting pressure on yourself to continuously like carry a conversation with someone and then not be a moment of silence, otherwise, oh my god, he's just gonna think I'm so awkward and blah blah blah. Like silence is nice, it shows that you're comfortable, you can just like enjoy being in each other's presence. I think flirting is very specific to the individual. Like some people don't even realize that they're like, I don't know, like eye contact is flirting. I don't really know how like you flirt unless, for me, I think flirting is all in the body language. Like I said, eye contact, or just the way you might speak, or like little hand touches here and there. Flirting's all about like affection, whether if it's with words or physical touch, you know? I think sort of like a little goes like a long way. You never want to be like too full on. But when I'm actually like speaking about it, it's really, I like suddenly have, my mind's gone completely blank in terms of flirting. Guys, help this girl out. Leave down below your best flirting tips and what helps for you. And like if you are in a relationship, like is there any like sneaky things that you did at the beginning of your relationship with the guy that you're with or girl that you're with that like, I don't know, you did to like flirt with them? Like let's leave some advice down below, because I'm gonna come back and read these comments to like help me too. I'm trying to think and I literally can't think. So leave some suggestions in the comment section of just like ways to talk and flirt with guys, you know, without needing alcohol or anything, just so, you know, this person has got stuff to use without like relying on alcohol to get the confidence to get there. Somebody said guys with baby mums Now, this is a sticky subject because I think there's just this stigma around men with children with other women that we just like to steer clear from, because I think maybe as a woman we just know what that would feel like maybe if we were on the other end of things. And I don't know, there's always this stigma that there's always going to be like drama and stuff. So I think it's very, very circumstantial. But at the end of the day, this man does have a family with somebody else, and family is family. It's all going to be dependent on what their like situation is. But I think we all know that like when you have a child with someone, unless that person is a complete arsehole in the sense of like lacks any sort of like sentiment or like anything like that, they will always have a bond that unless you have a child with that person, like you can't really compete with as such, and it shouldn't feel like a competition either. But especially I think a lot of people these days are having children a lot younger, and therefore like, you know, aren't really committing to the relationship. They're having children before, not that I think you should have children like after you've got married, but like, you know, just think back to your like parents and stuff like that. Like that was the more traditional way of doing things, and it's a lot more like modernized, and people are just having children with people. You know what, like, do you know what I mean? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, like literally not at all. But it just means that, yeah, like there's just so many more different family dynamics. I don't know, I think if I'm weighing out the pros and the cons, it low-key is best to just steer clear if you're not willing to sort of like put the work in, and if you're not really seeing it as like a long-term thing, then it's definitely not worth getting involved in. But I feel bad because, you know, some men have kids and like maybe it was an accident, but as a man, like he wasn't going to tell her what to do with her body. If she wants to keep the child, then she can keep the child. But like he may have like from the offset said like, I don't know if I really want to be like involved with this. Like, is he then not allowed to like move on, and just because he has a child, like just to every woman from now on it's an immediate no? Like I think that's a bit unfair too. So I really think it's just like, it's totally circumstantial. But I'm gonna go ahead and say like 7 times out of 10 it's usually just worth like avoiding, because then I think they low-key try and convince themselves that they don't want to be with that person. They love their child but like don't want to be with the mother. But like at the end of the day, I feel like no one will ever like replace them in their mind. So it's a sticky one. I don't know, it's so circumstantial and a little bit difficult. Perhaps while you're young, steer clear. Somebody said how to turn a sneaky link into something more. Well, I always feel like with sneaky links, have you not just like agreed? It's sneaky links like the same as like friends with benefits, right? And we all know what people say about friends with benefits. Like there's always the stigma around girls that girls can't be friends with benefits because, you know, they get feelings and stuff. And I feel like it's low-key natural. Like if you're continuously sleeping with someone, if you didn't develop some sort of feelings, do you know what I mean? Unless you're just completely void and just see like sex as sex, and it's like whatever. But sex is just, I don't know, it's like the most intimate thing you can like be with someone. So to develop feelings I think is totally natural, but how to turn it into something a little bit more, that's a sticky one still. I don't know. Because you just want to say like, why don't you just have a conversation about it? Why don't you just talk about it? But then there's, I don't know why as women we're so scared to like have conversations with guys, because we're scared they're just going to be like, oh, feelings, oh god, here she goes, let's talk about it. It's like, if you want to fucking talk about it, talk about it. If you want to turn it into something more, fucking lay your cards out on the table and be like, I'm so happy like having sex with you, so like why don't we just like, I enjoy spending time with you and having sex with you, so like I low-key think maybe it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world if we like gave it a go as like actually like a couple and like did other things, or like maybe just were a bit more like exclusive with this situation. Like what do you think? And if they're just like, nah, like whatever, well realistically, you know, if you're developing feelings for this guy, you're just sacrificing your own feelings to please him by not like saying how you really feel. Just say it. Like, life is too short. What do you think about it? Life is too short to not just say how you really feel. Honestly, they might be feeling the same, and you'll kick yourself if you just didn't say something sooner, you know? Somebody said how to find your bad bitch energy again. Been off boys for a while, want to get back to it. I think by the time that this video goes up, I would have done a podcast episode literally about glowing up, being a bad bitch with Hailey, and if I haven't yet, then it's definitely coming. But if I have, I always link my podcast down below, so go and check out that episode. I feel like anyone that kind of like umbrella of things, like wanting to get over, or like you've just come out of a breakup and a relationship and you want to know how to just glow the fuck up and just feel more like yourself again, definitely check out that episode. Somebody said my ex slept with one of my now ex-close girlfriends. How to not let it affect how I feel about myself. It's never a reflection on you if like a friend does that. I don't think it is 100% on a reflection of the people that they are just lacking a little bit of respect for one another. That clearly just like wasn't there. If they didn't have enough respect for you to like tell you about what was going on and how they felt, then you are so much better off without them. Again, it is not a reflection on you. I never really even thought about it of like how a situation like that would affect, how that would make you feel, if that makes sense. It's got nothing to do with you. I don't think there was anything that you did that like forced them to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's 100%, if anything, just a reflection on them. You weren't all secretive. You weren't the one like planning things and being malicious and like all of this kind of stuff. So it's absolutely not a reflection on you. You should never think that. Oh, somebody said my boyfriend still likes girls' photos even though I've told him it upsets me. I always think if you actively tell someone in any scenario, if you actively tell someone that what they are doing is upsetting you, you know, it made you uncomfortable, anything like that, and they still continue to do it, number one, that is a major red flag in terms of just like the respect that they have for you and the way that they look at you and value you. So that's an immediate red flag for me. And two, like, it's low-key just going to be more frustrating for you because you're just arguing with yourself, because this person clearly is not listening to you or you know, valuing like your opinion or like what you feel or like anything like that. So it'll end up being so mentally draining for you that I just don't think it's worth it. Oh, where are you going, mister? Steve? No. Okay, he's gone down there. I feel like just in the long run, it's going to be so mentally draining for you to just like continuously voice your opinion on something and your feelings on something and to be ignored. It's just disrespectful. So if I was you, I'd break up with your boyfriend. Somebody said boyfriend losing interest in sex. Again, that's a sticky one because I think if it was me, I would, you can't help but like maybe take it like a little bit personally, but it can be due to a numerous amount of reasons why someone's sex drive is low. They might have low testosterone. They just might be really, really stressed at work or like things like that. So first things first, I would say 100% have a conversation about it and just be like, what's up? Like, I miss having sex with you. I just want to know what's going on with you. Like, is there a reason why we're not having sex so much? Like, is there anything that you want to do to spice things up? Is there anything like I can do? Because at the end of the day, like, you obviously want to like please your partner, and if they're having a little bit of like a mental block with it, you might just have to be sort of like the bigger person in this situation. As much as like you want to please them, you obviously want to be pleased as well. So it's 100% worth a conversation. In the meantime, maybe get yourself one of these, but like, or like something that you can both enjoy. Like, not saying that you both can't enjoy that. Like, if he doesn't want to like have sex with you in the sense of he's just like tired, like he can use toys on you. Like, sex is such like a experimental and fun yet intimate thing that there isn't just like one way to do it. Do you know what I mean? There's like so many ways to like discover self-pleasure on your own or like within a couple, that like maybe you just need to like start from the bottom and work your way to the top to like get to like the actual intercourse part if like he's just like lost his momentum with it. But 100%, like I said, worth a conversation, just seeing like what's the block. And it's better to just like talk about it, but it's always just better to talk about it. It's one of those subjects as well that like he might be wanting to like desperately bring this up with you, but feels like embarrassed or like doesn't know how to because he thinks you might not understand. Like, men get in their heads so much when it comes to sex that like, it's because they've got something that needs to like work, that even like the slightest like mental block is just gonna like stop that from happening, and like that can feel really embarrassing, so like they just rather not do it. Like it's totally worth just like having a conversation about and seeing if you can figure out what the issue is from there, because I'm sure it's got nothing to do with you, and if it does, wouldn't you rather just know, and in the sense of just like understanding what's going on, and if it is you, then you can go from there and decide what you want to do, if you work through it, or actually maybe if you need to just go your separate ways, because you shouldn't be going through life just with someone that like, just because they're your boyfriend and you love them, but like, you know, you deserve to have like great sex, and like someone out there wants to have sex with you. So like, don't waste your time in this relationship, if that makes sense, if in fact the issue is like you. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, I hope that didn't sound like mean. I don't know, just boys aren't great at talking, like notoriously, not all boys, but like they just aren't sometimes. So sometimes you need to like get them to like have these conversations and just let them know that like you are here to like understand, you want to talk about it, you want to help. What can we do here to make things better, you know? Somebody said how to focus on yourself, being single and healing when everyone around you is wifed. I mean, if anyone understands this, it's me. Sorry I keep plugging my podcast, but I do talk about this kind of stuff on my podcast too. I literally did an episode like maybe 2 episodes ago about being single and how low-key, if I'm single for the rest of my life, I think I'm okay with that. That might just give you like a slightly different perspective on being single. That might be comforting and reassuring, and yeah, just sort of give you a little bit of like a different perspective on things. But I think how to focus on yourself being single, I don't know, like this is the thing, like just because everyone else is in like a relationship around you doesn't mean that they're any happier than you are. A lot of the times they're really not happier. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't make you happier than someone that's single. Do you know what I mean? You're allowed to do things because you're single that you enjoy. Like that's the whole benefit of being single. You can do whatever you want. I don't really know what you mean when you say like how to focus on yourself being single and and healing. Okay, so let's just say you've gotten out of a relationship, but you've got all this time now to discover new things that you like, do a new hobby, you know, just doing things that you enjoy. And just because your friends are like in relationships, that I hope that hasn't like stopped you guys hanging out, because then I think you need like new friends. Or like even if you say to your friends that are in these relationships, like let's have a girls' night, like let's go for dinner and some drinks and stuff. Like it doesn't have to be anything like super crazy, but yeah, like I feel like you just need to see it as like, yes, I now may be on my own, but it just means I have all of this time to just focus on myself, self-care, face masks, you know, whatever you really love to do, you can do it like whenever you want. You've got the time. I feel like maybe books are good. I know that sounds really just like, oh yeah, like a book's gonna like fix everything, but like I'm trying to think, like, do I have any specific books? Like, I can't think, but like, I don't know, I feel like books and podcasts and stuff like that are like really, really helpful. Like someone else's insight on situations is sometimes just like more helpful than you even know. Like go on a hot girl walk, find a podcast, maybe mine, but like find a podcast, like literally search what you need advice on, like on Spotify, and I'm sure like a podcast will come up like on that subject. Yeah, and go on a walk. Exercise releases serotonin anyway, that's just gonna like lift your mood. And yeah, just like listen to like what other people have to say. And obviously other people's opinions and stuff shouldn't be like the be all and end all, but sometimes it's so easy to like just get in your own head and in just like such a rut about things, that hearing somebody else's perspective and like some motivational words and stuff is just like really helpful and can really help like change a mindset. So I hope that is good advice. Somebody said, should I reach out to my ex? Ended 5 years ago due to timing not right, but still have feelings. Oh my God, I feel like it sounds like the beginning of a movie. I mean, it's totally circumstantial to like how much you guys have spoken over the last 5 years. Did they maybe imply things that you think, or maybe they still have feelings for me? Like, how often do you see each other? Why do you now feel like the time is right? Do you know what I mean? But I feel like, long story short, life is too short to not tell the people. Steve. Life is too short to not tell people that you love them. Like, you just never know what's gonna happen or when. So what's the worst that can happen? I'm assuming, like, when you say reach out, you don't mean that you're just gonna message them after 5 years and just be like, hey, let's get back together right now. Like, even if it's just a hey, or like a subtle like of an Instagram picture, or a reply to a story, I feel like that, putting like your foot in the door, what harm is that gonna do? If they don't respond, then they don't respond, and you just take that and you're like, okay, that's fine, let's leave it as that for like a minute or two. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's lots of like little things that you can do to like put your foot in the door, to like test the waters on it if you're not fully confident enough to like send a message right away. Send a subliminal message, like, or something like little, like a like or a story reply to like test the waters. But I feel like if after 5 years you're now in a place where you think, okay, this could work, and your feelings are still there, life's too short not to say something, because you just never know how they're feeling. Somebody said, I want to be taken on dates. Why am I only ever in the sleep with her box? Oh my god, I feel like I totally relate to this. And I actually don't know. I don't know if it's an energy I'm exerting, or like, I feel like at the end of the day, it's probably the people that we're speaking to, and it's not that we are the sleep with her kind of girls. They're just in a I only want to sleep with girls type of guy, if that makes sense. I mean, that's what I'm telling myself. I don't know. But I read that one out because I totally relate, and like, if anyone else, or like if anyone has any advice on that, can you leave us some advice in the comment section down below as to how, like, what not like what do we need to do, but do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's more of a them thing than a us thing. Because the right person will want to take you on a date, do you know what I mean? Like, when they're in that mindset as well. And if they like you for you. Somebody said, I have literally no libido. Am I not normal? No, I feel like having a low libido could be a result of like so many things. Self-pleasure and discovering what it is that you do like is 100% a great place to start. And perhaps maybe even if that isn't getting you going, for example, then sometimes it can be like an actual like internal thing, like low hormones or something like that. So if it's actually concerning you that like nothing is turning you on, then it's totally worth just speaking to your GP about it and being like, is there actually like something low like in my system? Because that is so easily like fixed and like treated if it's actually that. But it might just be a case of you don't actually know what you like and what turns you on, and it's all about now like exploring and experimenting and just discovering your sexual pleasure, which a great place to start is on your own. And if you know what turns yourself on, that when it comes to like being with a partner, you know what you like, and you can communicate that, and then they can do it for you, and it just might get things going a little bit. You know what I mean? So a great place to start is with yourself and learning what it is that gets you going. And I know the beginning of this video was actually sponsored by them, but like I said, LELO is just such a great brand anyway, in terms of just having so many products to like experiment with and try. And they've got this Black Friday sale on now, so like now's the time, if anything, to just treat yourself and read the description, see what they've got going on, and like if that sounds like something that you like, then give it a go and try. Like, I get so excited purchasing new sex toys and stuff. Like, it's just so fun, and even that in itself gets me excited. Like, I can't wait to try it, and like that might even be a kickstart in itself to, I don't know, yeah, get you excited about sex again. Let's end on one more, because there were so many. I'm definitely going to reuse these for another one, and I just don't want this video to like be super long. But thank you guys so much for sending in all of your questions. But I feel like this one might be one that could be applicable to a lot of people and the way that they feel. Somebody said, how to stop comparing yourself to his ex-girlfriend. Well, number one, they're their ex for a reason. But number two, I want to know why, I don't know, you're even really like thinking about that. I feel like at the beginning of a relationship, it's kind of maybe normal to discuss exes, in the sense of how long ago was your last relationship, how long was it, and like why did you guys break up. I feel like in the first like 3 dates, those questions are likely to come up. But when you guys are like together, an ex shouldn't really still be an issue or like prominent or like even a topic in your guys' relationship. Like, why is that even coming up? Unless, I don't know, you're like kind of self-sabotaging and doing it to yourself, and like, you know who his ex is and you just keep looking and stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to remember, like, that person is their ex for a reason. There's a reason that they're not together anymore. There's a reason that they didn't work out. No matter what they look like or anything like that, like, that obviously wasn't what they wanted. And they're with you now. They want to be with you, and you are only gonna sabotage your own relationship if you keep dwelling on it. And you don't do it to yourself, you're just gonna regret it, because they're probably not even thinking about their ex or anything. And if you're like bringing it up and like constantly comparing yourself, and it's like becoming a bit of an issue that you've created, I don't know, I feel like it's just gonna backfire, okay? And I'm sure you want your relationship to work out, and you just have to remember their ex is their ex for a reason. They are not together. Doesn't matter what they look like or anything. If you think she's a 10 and like whatever, and in your head you're thinking like, oh my god, like she like looks amazing, like blah, blah, blah. There's obviously a reason. There's something that he did not like about her, and that's why they're not together and that they have broken up. Okay, something happened, so they are not together. You just need to focus on your relationship. Otherwise, you're just gonna self-sabotage. And I know, no, you don't wanna do that. You'll just kick yourself if you allow this to like eat you up. So, you know, if it helps, I'd say like block her or just like something so you can't even search her up. But then, you know, I feel like sometimes that like gives the ex like do you know what, who even cares? Do what you need to do to just like not even allow yourself to look at that person if it really is like dwelling on you, and you find yourself like constantly checking and like looking at her and comparing yourself to them. Just block them and like just let them wonder why you've blocked them. I don't know, I feel like it's obviously very much easier said than done, but at the end of the day, I feel like I've said it like 100 times. Focus on your relationship. They are an ex for a reason, okay? Focus on the now. He is with you, and that's all that matters. Like, you are what he wants. Remember that. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just love filming these videos so much. I love giving you guys advice, and it low-key like giving me advice when I read these kind of dilemmas out. And when I'm like preaching to you, I'm like, oh, I should really take that on board. And I can't wait to see what you guys like say in the comment section to some of these. If you guys have some advice, help some sisters out, help me out, like I want to know. And make sure you guys check out LELO. I will leave it linked in the description. And you should definitely make the most of the Black Friday sales that they have going on. Huge discounts across lelo.com. If you've like even thought about getting yourself a LELO toy, now is the time. Make sure you go and check them out. Yeah, I really hope you found this video helpful, you guys. I just love to talk about them so much. I think it's healthy, it's normal. Who doesn't love a girly talk like this? Videos like this are just genuinely good for my mental health, your mental health. If this just helps put your mind at ease on any of the subjects that we've talked about, then I have done my job correctly. Love you guys as always, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.